So Taleeb, before we start about talking about Campanda, active in renting camping cars, I'd like to give you a few words about Idinvest, because despite being the top one VC firm in France, it's probably not super well known in Germany as well. Few figures. We invest 250, 300 million a year. Pan-European, 35% in France, and the rest is widely spread across Europe. We invest in 25, 30 new ventures every year, mainly Series A, Series B, but we do ticket size from 1 to 50. We like humble entrepreneurs like you, but we also like aggressive plays like yours. What else should I mention? We are known to be long-term investors. We'd like to have a significant reinvestment capacity, and these days it's absolutely necessary to grow the business to the absolute minimum sale. Amongst our investments, companies like WeFox, like Glovo, like Each, Vestia Collective, Criteo, Talent, and Campanda. You recently joined the company 2 months ago, if I'm correct.
Right.
So tell us, what made you so excited about the space and the company after a so fantastic journey at Farfetch, HomeAway, Expedia, you name it?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for this opportunity. Look, for me, what I get really excited about is markets where there's tremendous amounts of disaggregated, disorganized supply and a real demand. And so, one of the things that I realized when we were building HomeAway was that there are all these different properties out there that people get excited about owning, but they really don't know what they're going to do with them when they're not using them themselves. There's a bunch of people that want to go on vacation but can't afford vacation rentals. When it was at Farfetch, the lesson was there's all this incredible supply around the world. People want luxury fashion, but there's no way to really aggregate it. And after we had a great run at Farfetch, and then my question was, what do I do next? And when I started to look at the things that I love these complex marketplaces, and I love travel. And RVs, camper vans, motorhomes is really the last frontier in travel, and the last frontier really in terms of super disaggregated supply in travel that has demand. And so after a lot of thoughtful consideration and looking at the opportunity, it just made perfect sense.
We're lucky to have somebody super experienced about the space and especially travel, and that also can manage cross-border activities. Can you tell us a bit more about the different regions, how the market is organized? I would assume that this is vertical that is super strong in the US. What is the play for European players such as Campanda?
Yeah, so I think the mistake that people make is in assuming that the US is the place to be. In fact, if you take the 2 largest markets in Europe, whether it's Germany and France or Germany and the UK, you end up with a market that's actually larger than the US. And so our thesis is that the player that figures out how to consolidate the rest of the world actually wins. And so our plan really is to focus on the fact that you have a ton of players that have done really well in one geography alone. So you might be really good in Portugal, you might really be good in New Zealand, but there isn't a comprehensive platform that allows everyone to really actually participate actively in a global marketplace. And so our plan is to figure out, through a series of different means, how to consolidate the rest of the world. And if we just look at the rest of the world, the market is actually 4.5 times the size of the US market, but customer acquisition cost for us is probably less than 10% to 12% of what it is for the US players. Our lifetime values are longer, our basket sizes are larger. And so what's exciting is that there's something to really build on and to build on with strength there.
Okay. So your marketplace business, right? Especially in travel. I assume that as most of the marketplaces, the real value and the real complexity is on the supply side. You already managed to have 26,000 RVs to be available online in 41 countries, if I'm correct. Tell us about how to, what is really what are these suppliers and how to manage such a complexity?
Yeah, I mean, so there's two segments to the world of supply in this space. The first is a bunch of peer-to-peer inventory. So think early days of Airbnb. It's my place. I'm putting it out there. It's my RV. I'm renting it. So you have all of this disaggregated supply, and so a lot of folks in the smaller marketplaces have really focused on aggregating peer-to-peer inventory, which is tough. But again, it's good inventory. But really, what has been most difficult for a lot of other players, which we've cracked, is how do you get supply from fleet managers, from fleet operators, from people who are renting at scale? Because what that gives you is real-time calendars, real online bookability, instant payment, so on and so forth. And so we've built APIs that hook in now to all of that supply, where we can ingest directly from all of these different suppliers inventory with live calendars, real-time booking, which increases the efficiency of the traffic considerably and also allows us to be able to do something that really nobody else can. So that's how we've looked at the two elements of supply. What's interesting is that there is far more demand right now than there is supply that is on platform. So part of our opportunity really is to go out and get all of this supply which is there and convince people that they should rent it out. Look, the average motorhome gets 3 weeks a year of usage, right? So people buy this incredible asset and then it sits there for 49 weeks of the year. But there's about 13 to 15 weeks of demand for each of these RVs that are sitting idle. And so if we can just figure out how to unlock that, which is what we're doing, it's a great value to the owner. It provides a great opportunity for travel to the traveler, and frankly, for us, it's a business. So
cool. Maybe last question is about the most important thing to make things happen. I mean, probably people won't trust you with such an ambitious plan without a good team. Yep. So you were humble enough not to mention your own journey, but you're also talented enough to bring good people on board. Tell us about your team. Maybe you have a few pictures of them.
I probably have a slide. Yeah, there we go. We have a whole bunch of information, but I thought it was probably better for us to have a conversation.
Right.
But if you actually want to look at what the team looks like, so this is actually when I was talking about the market sizes, right? You actually can start to see how the rest of the world is far more interesting than just the US. But if you look at the team, what I really thought we would do is figure out what would it take to make all of this work. And what we did is we said, who are the best people that we know that can make this happen? So I have a particular skill set, but I believe that every CEO should be the dumbest guy in the room. And so I had to figure out how to find really smart people. It wasn't that hard. Then I had to find really, really smart people that wanted to come and do this. And so we brought on a fantastic head of engineering, CTO, that was formerly head of engineering at Zalando. He's the guy that built Amazon Payments from scratch, and he wanted a new challenge, and he loves the world of travel, so he's just joined us. We brought on a VP of business development that worked with me at HomeAway, but then had gone on to work at Tripping. But he was also a property manager in his old days, so he understands at the grassroots level what it takes for an owner who has this one prized asset. How do you convince them to let other people use it? So he brought that psychology, and we're just in the process of announcing a new chief product officer that's going to be coming to us, who's head of global products at Expedia. So, this is all to say that we have global ambition, and we are gearing up to be that type of a business. We already do things globally. We operate in 6 languages, 11 currencies. There's a lot of things that we're already doing. But the focus for us now is how do you look at the world in a meaningful, substantial way and start to win geography by geography so that you can start to take advantage of economies of scale? How do you take advantage of the real marketing flywheel, cross-border travel, so on and so forth? And so I think we've got the right team in place now. We've got great investors like you, and that's a process that we're now obviously, we're in the process now of figuring out how do we expand the runway and bring in additional folks to support the story. But we're really excited about where the market is headed and how we're positioned to do some big things.
Cool. Last word, maybe? I don't know. What are the next milestones? And you mentioned different means for you to keep growing on the long run.
Yep.
What does that mean? What do you have in mind?
In terms of how we plan to grow? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's really three things. It boils down to, number one, making sure that we have a good, we continue to improve our own internal metrics. The second is, organic growth, making sure we have the right teams on the ground in new geographies. And then looking at some acquisitions of potential players that are single market players that have a desire to be part of something larger. So it's a comprehensive strategy. It's one that we used at HomeAway. It's one that we used at Farfetch, and it's something that I'm pretty confident we'll be able to execute here.
Cool. I think we are running out of time, so thank you very much, Taleeb.
Thank you very much.